should be good. I'll just go verify. But go ahead.
Go ahead. All right, it is 6:30 and I will call the meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And roll call. Bruce Belargent.
Here.
Katie Thurman.
Here.
Patty Forsberg.
Here.
Bob Gunther. Roxanne Kendall.
Here.
Catherine Cranston.
Here.
Lori Belargent here. District mission, together we engage, educate, and empower all learners, bridging their passions to pathways to create successful futures and positively contribute to our local and global communities. Core values and protocol reminders are listed. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Okay, so motion by Katie, second by Catherine. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. I did not receive any requests for public comment. So reports, the student representatives report.
Before you start, does anybody need to take notes since Tasha's not here?
We'll do it off
The recording.
the recording or Tasha may be watching it.
Okay, gotcha.
Ready?
Good evening and welcome to our February 2021 presentation. It'll just be me tonight because Abby put together our wonderful slideshow. So just some quick SHS updates. The transition from semester 1 to semester 2 has gone very smoothly overall, and students are hopeful about a fresh start for this semester. A couple weeks ago, 9th through 11th graders took the practice ACT in preparation for the real exam. Even with the unique challenges of COVID, teachers were able to find ways to allow all students to take this prep exam. Here are some students at the basketball game last Friday. Moving on to winter sports. For boys basketball, they started playoffs strong after receiving the 2nd seed. They defeated New Richmond in an excitingly close game at home on Friday. Unfortunately, in a very hard-fought battle, they lost their following game to Altoona on Saturday. And here are some of our seniors this year. And for girls basketball had a great success during playoffs this year, winning the regional championship at home against Altoona. Unfortunately, they were defeated by Rice Lake in the first sectional game. Senior Danny Schockner celebrated her 1,000th rebound this season, and Coach Lindenberg celebrated his 100th win as a varsity coach. Here are the seniors with their families. Here is the girls basketball team after their big win. And moving on to wrestling. Wrestling is finishing up their season this week, but will continue to help out with the youth wrestling program throughout this spring. Senior captain Zach Majorjean says that the high school program is looking to recruit and expand greatly next year, but they are very proud of what they accomplished this year. As for hockey, girls finished up their season last week with a record of 13-5, losing in the sectional semifinal to state champs Chippewa Falls Menominee. This season, the Western Wisconsin Stars are super proud of beating Eau Claire and being ranked first in the sectional seedings. These are both first-time accomplishments for the team. Boys hockey had a very successful end to their season, making it all the way to state for the 2nd year in a row. At the state semifinal in Fond du Lac, the team played St. Mary Springs, where they lost 5-1. Here is a picture of the boys hockey team and a picture of the state send-off. Here they are again. All right, as for dance and cheer, dance. The remainder of their competition season will begin in March and run through mid-April. The team is excited to have the opportunity for an in-person conference and regional performance this year. As for cheer this past weekend, both high school and middle school cheer participated in the state competition. They are currently awaiting their results, which will be released next weekend. Here is a selfie of the cheer team. All right. As for activities, the fishing team finished off their season with a state tournament this past weekend. The team took 11th overall. For forensics, they have been competing virtually through pre-recorded videos. This year has definitely been a unique challenge for students. However, this has done nothing to stop them. Sophomores Adeline Gettel and Marissa German took first place in their most recent competition for play acting. Robotics. At their tournament at the beginning of February, 2 of Somerset's teams took both first and second place. They are currently ranked third in the state in the skills division. Pretty awesome. Here is our robotics team. And just a couple other general updates. Students are really looking forward to spring sports and other exciting things coming this spring. Student Council is working on planning a Spring Fling Week, hoping to host a talent show and celebrate underclassmen royalty that didn't get to happen for Polar Days. The SHS Coliseum has started up their new coffee cart, where students and staff can purchase coffee made by a Keurig. They have over 20 flavors of tea and coffee and have had great success so far. All right, and that is all from us. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your month, and we'll see you in March.
Thank you.
Is that a new microphone for them even? Because I can hear, I mean, it just is so much better. Maybe it's just because I'm used to being remote. But gosh, that was lovely.
We show it once in a while.
Yeah, right.
Superintendent's report, Mark.
Okay, just a few things here. Construction update, all the bits and pieces from our last project are getting shaped up. There's not much left there. Talk a little bit about moving the boardroom to the back room here. We're still getting prices on that, but basically, what we want to do is take all the wall and cabinetry out, put a folding wall in there, and we're going to be looking, I would say, on the low end 25, top end $30,000, but we're going to be upgrading the equipment and what have you, so it should be a first-class setup. I mean, it'll be nice, reliable, and plenty of space that we can spread out in, and we don't have to run.
And it will be set up so people that are remote can hear things and see things better?
Yeah, because we'll be upgrading our sound and what have you. And, the problems we had was, I think Jason will say the same thing. It wasn't equipment-wise, it was some of our own equipment that was failing. So it wasn't who did we buy it from?
It was the laptop, it wasn't our Tierney Brothers equipment.
That was causing us problems, plus the understanding that we thought we had more lines on the telephone than we did. So again, kind of our own errors got us into that, but we'll rectify all that by the time we go into there. But we'll get firmer prices. Again, we're in no hurry to do this, but as soon as we get the numbers, I'll get them out to you guys so you can see what we're looking at for that.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Catherine?
Yeah,
It's so much better already.
is it? Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Is that what you were gonna say?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what
okay,
she wanted to
okay.
say. The sound
Thought there
is
was more,
pretty
I thought there was
much
more. Okay, let's see here, let me back up here. Compensation, I sent you out that pamphlet or handout that I put together about a year or so ago after we went through the first rendition of the McGrath and what have you, just to kind of refresh memories. And so in our meetings lately with DPI, our numbers from what we're expecting to get on ESSER dollars looks like it's going to stay the same as, up in that upper fives. But there's a new formula that's coming in that Dave thinks could add a little bit more, be more advantageous to us. So I mentioned this now so we can start thinking about our work session coming up, that there are some things that I think we can move ahead with that I would recommend. The steps and lifting the schedule for sure. But again, we got to remember that's one-time money, and now ESSER 3 is coming out, and that's supposed to be twice as much money. And the thing is with this ESSER money on ESSER 2 with the 580, we may not see it till next fall, which is okay as long as we know we're going to get it. We can bankroll whatever we do. The argument I have with this, and I've raised at every meeting we've had, is that it goes by the Title formula, Title I formula. So 90% of this money is going to these districts that didn't even have school this year. And that really bothers me. You know, because we've got $900 to $1 million out there to keep our doors open where these other schools didn't. And, you know, we talked to DHS or DPI today about that, and they said, you know, I don't want to play politics here, but, you know, when you have one party in control, they love title formula. And as long as that stays that way, it's gonna go by the formula. We have no recourse, what have you. So, and we get basically nothing, you know, if it goes by title formula compared to other districts. Because now we just don't have that kind of numbers. Yeah, ESSER 1, we saw $40,000, and that was it. Where other districts are seeing hundreds of thousands of dollars. So they're working on a formula to, that rewards districts that stayed open. There's 174 districts, and so this other pot of money will be split up, and that's where Dave thinks we'll do pretty well in there, but that's what will delay it probably into the fall, because now it's about a formula. How do you count minutes to justify this? So again, that's just to let you know a little bit, that's where we're at. But again, I think we're in really solid shape to move forward when we have that discussion at the next.
Before you go on to the next topic, if they're still using the title formula, why are we getting so much more for ESSER 2 than ESSER 1?
There's another component in there, and I just can't think of what it is right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, you know, superintendents, we were talking about this today, and everyone's kind of in our area, kind of in that same batch. But we, for some reason, we're going to see, you know, I think there's that $395 per student piece, and that's the thing that the legislature's messing around with as far as how that's going to be allocated, because that's the one that really gives us our kick, you know, for our district.
Mark, are you saying that the ESSER 2, the money we thought we were getting, we're still getting, but ESSER 3 is based on a formula?
No, both of them are ESSER 2 and ESSER 3, but ESSER, and just found this out today, ESSER 3 has already been passed at the federal level, and it's twice as much money as ESSER 2. You'll see, then it comes into the state, and then they can, certain percentages they can play with and allocate the way they want. And so DPI had an allocation projected out on how they were, what they recommended, but then the, you know, legislature in Wisconsin decided, no, we're going to do this, this, and this, which they had the right to do.
But you are saying that at some point, they are starting to look at the 174 districts that stayed
Yes,
open,
that's for sure.
in addition to the title formula?
Yep.
Okay,
yep,
that's
yep.
all we
That-
need
And
to
that's
know.
what's going to give us the
Okay.
boost.
Well, thank goodness for that.
Yeah, and talking to Dave today a little bit about, because this thing's changing, you know, we just got memos this morning on it, and he still thinks we're going to be better off than we were with the DPI recommendation. So just want to get some, grasp something, so when we go into that conversation
Right.
next, you know, at our work session, that you know what you're working with.
And
Okay,
if
good.
we don't have the information, I'm wondering if we, I mean, there's nothing saying that we must make a decision in March.
No, not at all, you know, because anything we do will make retro anyway, so it just, I'd feel better if we knew what our numbers were going to be.
Right.
And again.
And if you want a resolution from our board to advocate for that, to send along, let us know.
I think the dynamics of this thing is out of our control right now, so it's just wait and see. And again, I would almost be assured that we wouldn't see the money till next fall, but you know what, as long as we're gonna get it, I'm okay with that, because we're okay in that department. I mean, we can bankroll that. Let's see here.
Health update?
Let's see, I do need to mention that, a little bit about the health. You know, I was with county today for an hour, and all the county numbers are tracking down. I misspoke when we talked, there's only 2 hospitalizations in the county right now. The 7-day average is 9 cases. And so they're just real pleased with everything that's, you know, it's just tracking way down. Vaccination-wise, you got my memo on that today, which is a really good thing. And I just heard about that a few days ago, so I thought I'd bring it up and say, we should be doing this. And he said, yep, let's count them in there, so
Thank you.
you're in. I don't know when it'll be though. They're saying that they should have all educators vaccinated in Wisconsin by mid-April. I'm expecting over the next couple of weeks we'll be eligible. And right now we're lining up to go over to Westfield, but we don't know now if there's been some vaccination sites on site. At first they said, no, you have to go to clinics or hospitals because of the paperwork. Now they've been going out to districts and doing that, so now, yeah, so who knows, we may get it done right here. So, one thing that wasn't on the agenda, but we need to schedule an expulsion hearing at 5 o'clock before our work session. You folks haven't been through one of these before. My first year here 5 years ago, we had one or two. But Trevor will lead this, and he'll probably lead it virtually. So as of right now, unless something changes, we need to schedule at 5 o'clock on that day. And just one other thing, prom and graduation. Prom is already scheduled for up at the concert site up there. They're donating that to us. And
Do you have that in
I
writing?
got a contract with them. Just did that today. Just did that today.
All right.
And we're and I did settle on other things, I'll tell you about.
Okay.
But we're looking at graduation up there too, possibly. We'll see. We'll see what we can do. But it seems now everyone wants an outdoor graduation. So
Well, it was fabulous.
It was really cool.
it was. So, and I wouldn't say that we're out of the picture over in the river, but we got options now. So that is all I have.
Thank you. Did anybody have any questions or comments for Mark? Bruce or Katie or Patty Jo, is there anything you wanted to ask or comment on?
Not at this time.
All right. Enrollment report and financial reports are both attached. Did anybody have any questions or comments on either of those?
Enrollment's following the same trends. We see the same trend every year towards the end of the year here. However, we're down 58 from last year, and we're down 8 from last month. But if you look at the numbers, we always trail off at the end of the year for whatever reason. So we're down those numbers, but it is following the same trends.
Well, I just gotta say how much I appreciate the fact that our class sizes are still within range because, being a teacher, I'm in classrooms and I just think it's imperative that we keep our class sizes as small as possible. And that's one of the major reasons I feel we've been able to stay open is because we have such decent class sizes. And I know that's really important to our community, so I'm just looking at the average class size and thanking everyone for that.
Anything else? Then item number 4A is a petition to alter school district boundaries.
Do you want that open on the board?
Sure.
Was financial reports part of that?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Roxanne, did you have a question?
I didn't, I just wanted to make sure we covered it.
It's not scary.
No, it's
They look meaner than they are.
There's a chair, go ahead.
You can just stand right up here by the podium here.
Okay. Is this your normal spot?
Pardon?
Is this your normal?
No, I'm over here.
Okay. Well, I'm Lorraine Schauer. My husband and I own the property at 555 County Road E. And we're asking you to please consider allowing us to take our house portion, which is on 4.2 acres, and move it to the Hudson School District. Our children graduated from Somerset, and it was difficult in that we are a little island out there, surrounded by Hudson. There is Somerset further out in the perimeters. but we're just hoping we have a chance to sell it to one of our children, and would have to be in the Hudson School District because their child is in the Hudson School District. So I'm just here to appeal to you guys and hope that you'll give consideration to what we need.
Can you pull up the map? There was a map attached. Because when you said you're an island, I think you're correct. And the map really shows that you are out there by yourself, you're not attached to any other Somerset.
No, we aren't. Yeah, we're that red blob.
So yellow is
Hudson.
Hudson School District
Yeah.
and green.
Unfortunately, north is to the left.
Yeah, you
of it.
can't
So-
reorient?
You tip it,
If I download it, I can. Just 1 second.
Well, I don't know, I'll make a motion already to approve the
there you go, right there.
shower petition.
There, he's got it.
So
I'll
Bruce
second
has
that.
made a motion and Katie has seconded. Any further discussion or questions or comments?
I do. I just want to tell you that I've been on the board, this is, I think, my 4th term, and we've never once approved one.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, but looking at this, I think this is a unique situation. And I think you have every right to come and ask this because you are an island. And so it's a unique situation.
I wish you could talk to that island of Hudson that's surrounded by Somerset though, and
Yes.
get
Yeah.
them to come our way.
Yeah, okay. Get somebody to comply on. Yeah, when I talked to Tim Miner in Hudson about this, he said, I have wondered for years why nobody ever called me about that little island. But when the opportunity arose, my children were in school here and it was nothing that they were interested in doing. So, but now it's the opposite.
There's one other parcel that looks like it's in Somerset.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
just to the south.
I wonder, Shower, do you know who owns that?
Where is that exactly?
It's right here.
That little piece of green
There
south
you go,
of you.
right there.
Well, it looks to me on the map like that's the back of the 80 that we were part of when we bought our acreage. And I used to know most of those people back there are Hudson. And so when my kids were in school, they had some friends back there, but I didn't know that there was still a Somerset district back there.
In your opinion, are there homes on that parcel?
I think there might be. I mean, if it's the way it looks to me, there is a whole development back there. So I don't know.
We were wondering if that was, affiliated with your land somehow.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I'm sorry that I can't tell who's talking.
Oh,
coming
yeah.
It's coming from the board. They're not here.
Sorry.
They're virtually.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. If my husband were here, he probably would know because he knows more about that neighborhood, but I knew their names years ago, but as the kids left and we became more isolated, more new people moved in, and we lost track.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, this is great.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Not a fan of doing it, but I understand why we are, or why we should.
Well, and I
But-
really appreciate it.
So Bruce, are you opposing?
No.
Okay.
Just had to get 2
We just want you to know how lucky you
I'm just getting my,
are.
just getting my
Because we never
anecdote
vote
in
yes.
that.
This is rare.
I am feeling blessed tonight, believe me.
Well,
Can't believe
to
it.
help you out there, Bruce, there are no current students in there, so it's not like we'll lose students.
All right.
All
Okay,
right.
good. Thank you.
Thank
All
you
right.
for coming in.
Well, thank you so much. Goodbye.
Bye.
That door is heavy.
Okay.
The next item on the agenda then is the 21-22 school year calendar as presented. Would someone care to make a motion?
So moved.
Catherine, is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Bruce. Any questions or comments or discussion on this calendar?
Trish, did you get any feedback from staff?
You know, they were part of the initial putting it together, and I did not receive anything afterwards except when is spring break?
Uh-huh.
So that's
Yeah.
the only thing that I heard.
Well, I heard some feedback from families that they do really like when professional days hook up and give them long
Yeah.
weekends and that kind of thing. So, but yeah, I heard positive things from the community.
Great.
All in favor then?
Aye.
I,
Any opposed? Motion carries then. The next item on our agenda is Part 2, staff with individual contracts, and there were 2 items that we needed to discuss. How about if we get a motion first, though?
I'll make a motion for that.
So Catherine is making a motion to approve Part 2 of the employee handbook. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Patty Jo. All right, so one of the items that we need to discuss or clarify or make sure that everybody's on board with is the liquidated damages. That is on page 6 of the employee handbook. Jody mentioned that there were 3 different pieces of language addressing this item. And she put in what is in the last handbook that we currently have approved. The other one was in the contract, and that said, I think it was 1% of the salary. And then what was written in the new language was, what was it, I think $1,000 or something like that? I think it was $1,000.
Yeah, it was.
So is there any concern about approving the language here that is highlighted in yellow?
One thing we're trying to do, and not we're always 100% there, but we're trying to have it mirror, when possible, the teacher's contract so that it's not always confusing. So so we just need to know if you guys are okay with that in yellow.
Any questions or concerns? Hearing none, the next item is on page 14, and it was just some clarification of the cash in lieu of insurance. It was language cleaned up that goes with the dental insurance coverage. One group of employees had 370, a different one had 350. Jody worked with Rod. This comes down to a difference of 85 cents a paycheck, but it will make a pretty big difference to our accounting system to have it all be the same instead of
And overall, I think the cost was $500 for the year,
for the whole district.
for the whole, to up the support staff to this. Again, we're trying to make things streamlined so they match the teachers.
This is,
All for good
I mean, yeah.
consistent.
Yep.
are there any questions or comments on this language? Was there anything else in part 2 of the employee handbook that anybody has a question or a comment on? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
And I want to thank Tasia and Jody for the insane amount of time they're putting in on this.
Yes, I agree.
Agreed.
Item D, policy updates. There are 15 policies that we reviewed at the first reading, February 8th. There was the language added of that authority to contact district council for legal advice or assistance also is permitted at the request of any 3 members. In 0172 and in policy 0167.3, we added the visual form. And the way it's added right now is that it will be attached to the agenda and noted in the minutes as our written statements or audio submissions from people who are not able to be here in person. Did anybody have any questions or concerns about that?
Which one was that again?
That was 0167.3.
All right, give me a minute, I want to look at that again.
Sure. It's, and they changed the title of it from public participation to public comment.
Oh, okay.
So what got added is
So we're not gonna play them anymore, is what you're saying?
correct,
Correct? We're
yes,
just gonna attach them?
right,
We just link it to the agenda instead of playing it at the meeting.
right. As we do audio and written statements.
However, this does not affect someone wanting to be live on Zoom or live in person.
Correct,
Okay, just want to make that clear.
yep.
This is only pre-recorded or pre-submitted things in writing.
Yeah, these are people who are not able to be present at the actual time of the meeting, whether it's remotely or in person. And then the only other policy I just wanted to make clear, because there were 2 of them attached, and I don't know if they're still in there or not, but one of them is 2131.01, reading instruction goals in kindergarten assessment. There are 2 state statutes that require that an annual report to the board be made, and apparently, Tricia, is there anything you wanted to say about that?
Yes, so I went back to my directors in the area, and I also conferred with CISA. And it was interesting because it's not a practice that is done in the area, and yet it is in state statute. So when I conferred with CISA, they did say, yes, you should keep that in there, and yes, all schools should be doing that, and yes, and on and on and on. The problem is, in addition to that, ASA also is sending out a notice to all schools saying, send us your job description for your reading specialist, which many schools do not have actively doing what state statute is saying that they should be doing. Reading specialist is something that DPI has always said every district should have. We do have someone online as our reading specialist, but not actively engaged in what state statute says should be happening in the schools. Most schools have moved to having instructional coaches. We also do not have instructional coaches in Somerset at this time. It's something that we'd love to have. We've talked about it all the time. We've put it on our staffing document. We don't have active instructional coaches in Somerset. So given state statute, given what ASA is looking at, given what we're hearing about, it's something that we'll have to talk about administratively as well. So thank you for pointing that out, and thank you for starting the conversation in the middle board conference.
Yes.
Okay.
And there was a time, not that long ago, that our reading specialist did have 50% of her schedule devoted to those reading specialist duties.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that long ago that we were in line with what
Mhm.
should be going on. So hopefully it won't be too difficult to return.
So Trish, in your opinion, could there be such a position as a reading specialist who's also an instructional coach?
Absolutely. If it's the right person with the right passion, with the right skill set.
And would it primarily be K-5, K-8, K-9?
It would depend. Right now, what they're looking at through ASA and through CISA and so on is really looking at that K-3 and having all kids reading at grade level by K-3, which is, you know, a goal and something accountability-wise through DPI that they're looking at state accountability. So that's the primary goal. It's the goal of reading recovery. It's the goal of, right, if we can get that going and then extending that, you know that you can only stretch one person so
Well, that's
far.
what I was gonna say, because just calling someone a reading specialist and saying they're a reading specialist K-12
Yeah.
isn't gonna make a hill of beans of difference in anybody's life.
No, and our reading specialist it's a 317 certification. A 316 in the state of Wisconsin, a little education for you.
Yeah,
316 in the state of Wisconsin is a reading teacher, and a reading teacher is a teacher of children. So we've got several people on staff who have a 316. Primarily, that's our Title I teachers, and then we have additional staff who carry a 316, which is wonderful. A 317 is the next step, and that is a teacher of teachers. And that's where you get the reading specialist. That's almost an administrative degree or considered at that level. We only have one person currently on staff, and we have another person who's one class away. It really takes, though, a very special skill set to be a teacher of teachers.
well, that's my title. I'm an instructional coach, yeah.
To be able to go in and coach and look at data and analyze data and do small group instruction and help, you know exactly what I'm
Yep,
talking about, right?
yeah. But it is something we should look at down the road.
Mhm. It's something that we've always talked about. It's just when we look at a prioritization of staffing needs and wants, it's on there every year.
Okay.
It's just never kind of gets to the top because other things kind of go in the budget and all of those mishmash pieces. So our 317 on staff, though, was part of our last two ELA adoptions, so it has been at the table, which is part of the state statute, but the rest of that state statute, not so much. So.
Well, what a great conversation.
Mhm, absolutely, so thank you for bringing that to the table. So yeah, so we'll keep it in.
So, any
So-
further questions or comments on the policies?
Sorry, just be clear, do you want to keep that paragraph 4?
Yes.
Trish, or we're not able, so you want to keep it?
We are required by law to keep it.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, we may not be able to fulfill it at today, like make it happen right now, but we need to keep it in there and work toward that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda. We have the minutes, January, February board bills, athletics activities update, and the CISA 9 shared services contract. We had gone over the CISA 9 shared services contract at our work session. Would anybody care to make a motion?
I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda, items 5A, B, C, and D in their entirety.
Thank you, Katie. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Patty Jo. Did anybody have any questions or comments about any of these items? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. General information, our March meeting dates, our work session is the 8th, regular session the 22nd. Bruce, did you have anything for once around the table?
Just Jason, thanks for getting this Google Meet to work. This is exactly what I was thinking. And honestly, I think we had a lot more feedback from anybody on the phone tonight than we've had so far, so this worked out great. Thank you.
welcome.
Nothing, I'd like to second that though, this has been awesome.
Good. Patty Jo?
I will third that. I think it was 2 meetings ago that I hardly had anything, and Jason and I were messaging back and forth the whole time. And yeah, this is way better. It's a lot more conducive to the environment, so thank you. And I think that's it.
Thank you. Roxanne?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Catherine?
I would like to hear from the officer and have a report at some point. When did we say that we were?
It's scheduled for our work session March 8th.
March, okay, good. I knew you had responded, but I couldn't remember when.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. All right then. Would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn? Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry.
Just a reminder about that possible expulsion hearing.
Yes.
At 5 o'clock, we need at least a quorum for that, so.
5 o'clock on when again?
March 8th.
March 8th. Okay, all right.
Would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Bruce. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Roxanne. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion